Let's talk about cost management. Now, we talked about cost quite a bit at the beginning, even though I said I wouldn't talk about it. But there's so much that goes into cost, folks. And there's so much that could make cost a challenge, a hurdle, right? So if you don't have the right planning and your cloud project tends to take too long, then you're spending money. You're spending money on your internal resources, on your cloud resources, on your skills, on the management, on the consulting folks that are potentially helping you. Maybe you're even spending time on some tools that you're using. So length of time of cloud migration can be very costly. Modifying application architecture for the cloud, obsessing over it for the wrong reasons, could also be costly. Taking the position, hey, we're never gonna just lift and shift, we have to modify, whether that's going to containers or microservices or a blend or whatever, but taking the approach of we must do it, that could also prove costly because now you're putting a lot of development resources, now you're putting a lot of emphasis on something that maybe does not deserve this much effort. So again, you have to weigh the pros and cons, but this will immediately impact your cost as well. Now, as you're moving to the cloud, if there's a skill shortage or if you don't have the right experience and it's taking you too long to troubleshoot the environment, too long to resolve performance issues, too long to address high availability and scalability issues, all of these things, guess what? All of these things lead to cost. There's also a cost associated with training your people, with that talent enablement program, with sending them, getting them the right skill sets, hiring folks. All of that requires investments. All of that is cost. There are some third-party tools that you're going to have to invest in. There's a cost associated with acquiring these tools, but in most cases, that is probably the best investment you can make. The third-party cost optimization tools are my favorite because you can use them to optimize your cloud estate across multiple clouds, AWS, Azure, Google, etc. And they will give you recommendations on whether or not you're using the right virtual machine or instance size, maybe swap it out, maybe use reserved instances, maybe use spot instances. And you could do that from a single pane of glass, which is very difficult to say for the other tools in your cloud management estate. So that becomes difficult and potentially costly, but it has benefits. The other thing that could be costly is end user cloud adoption acceptance. If you didn't have a strategy and you didn't go through this, and again, if you didn't take my course, then you might find yourself, you deployed this whole project, but you didn't prepare your user base for what you're using. All of a sudden, you've got this amazing environment, but your users don't want it. They don't want to use it. They don't know why they're using it. They're not invested in, well, why am I going to change? So along the project, you have to prepare your user community as far as here are the business benefits. Here's how using the cloud is going to end up making your job easier. And as a result, making us more competitive, making us more money. And as a result, hey, if you want that raise, then all of these things are tied together. So not having end user acceptance and adoption could be costly because if you've built all of this and then all of a sudden you're facing resistance, that's going to take time. Time, you guessed it, is money, and that will increase the cost. So be careful with that as well.